Welcome back. In an earlier version, I showed you how to set up a site. A site is the most important thing because what you're doing is you're going to be using Dreamweaver as an FTP client and then also a HTML editor. So it's sort of like taking brackets and FileZilla and putting them together. So let's start playing with some Dreamweaver. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to go File, New. We're going to do HTML. I'm going to do document title. I'm going to go call it Dreaming. We're going to be using HTML5, which is the latest version. And if I already had a CSS created, I could use that, but I'm not going to do that right now. So let's go create. Now, by default, it starts off with live. I always come up here and change it to design because live view is not the easiest to work with. Now, one of the other things you want to make sure you do, because every now and then it comes back to bite us, is you want to make sure that you're inside the body section. I've actually had times where it's stuck code outside the body section somehow, and I haven't figured out how I managed to do that. Oh, by the way, I apologize if I sound kind of nasally because my allergies are just going crazy the last couple weeks, and I wanted to finish this, and I've been putting it off and putting it off, and now I just finally said I got to do it. So what we're going to do here is I like to use the properties bar. So I'm going to go Windows, Properties. And the reason I like doing that is I can have quick access to some of the HTML. It's not a necessity. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to create a table. Now I can manually do it in code, but that's just brackets, and that's why I'm more of a fan of brackets, which is free, than paying for Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver doesn't add very much. It used to be kind of a cool program because what it would allow you to do is have these wizards that would easily help you connect up to databases. But then all of a sudden they decided to be, a high-end programming tool, which is not really the function of a Dreamweaver. A Dreamweaver is designed to be for us mere mortals who are not experts at coding, who want to be able to do something very quick and dirty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Insert, Table, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a table that's 3 columns. I already have done this earlier today, so I just put 800 pixels, border of 1, cell padding of 10. Now, the thing that kind of drives me a little bit crazy about Dreamweaver is you would think that it would write really good code. Well, what it just did by inserting that table, notice right here, we're supposed to be writing HTML5. That is invalid code for HTML5. So, Dreamweaver, shame on you. Now, one of the things, I'm kind of old and gray, so I like to bump up the preferences a little bit. So, I'm going to go Edit, Preferences, and I'm going to go down to fonts so I can actually see what I'm writing, especially in source code. So what I did is I did code view 16. I might even go a little bit bigger than that, although it doesn't sure look like it's source code there. But that's what it is. So we're gonna hit apply. There we go. Close. Now I'm going to get rid of this later, but for now I'm just going to kind of leave it the way it is. Now, one of the things that I want to do is I want to play around with some CSS. So I'm going to go CSS Designer. Now, this can be a little bit clunky, but it's, sometimes it's easier just to, hand code it. But the nice thing about it is it has some visual properties. Also, I want to point out, it shows you where we are in the document tree in terms of HTML. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a plus for adding a source. I'm going to create a new CSS file because I'm going to have an external file. And I'm going to call it Dreaming. Ooh, you know what? I gotta browse to find out where I want it to be. Let's go. I don't want it to be here. And CSS, good. And I'm going to call it Dreaming. CSS. Then OK. So what I just did is I created a link. Well, right now what it wants to do is it says, hey, I'm going to put in this temporary link. You got to pay attention to this because sometimes Dreamweaver hiccups and it doesn't work. So I'm going to immediately save this file. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to call it dreaming.html. Good, it does. Like I said, about 1 out of every 30 or 40 times it will hiccup it and not give it to you. And it's really kind of weird. It's usually in a class, it's usually my student who has the least amount of confidence. And so naturally they think, oh, it's me, it's me. No, it's Dreamweaver hiccuping, which is shame on Dreamweaver. So now what I've done is I've created this file, and I'm going to take this and drag it over here so we can actually see it a little bit better. And notice how I got the black lines there so I could expand it out. Which, by the way, let me show you my Dreamweaver push-ups. I could go minimize, maximize, minimize, maximize. I could actually grab a panel like I just did right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a selector, and I have my insertion point right there, so it's assuming that that's what I want, but actually what I want is I want it to be a table, and I misspelled table. Oh, there we go. And the nice thing about this, it does give you hints. So I'm going to hit enter, and then by doing that it automatically gives me the opportunity to do there. Well, I want it to have, oh, let's go 800 pixels, so I'm going to, oh, sorry, I'm going to put width, and I'm going to tab it, and I'm going to go 800px for 800 pixels. Going to hit enter, and I can hit tab down or enter. I like tabbing down because entering it commits it, but sometimes doesn't drop it down. It really depends on the version. So I'm going to do margin, auto, and I'm going to select my auto. Hit enter. Oop, that's inherit, sorry. Auto, enter. So now I've just centered it. I'm going to tab down to the next one, and I'm going to put in a border. Tab over. And I'm going to go to PX. It's going to be solid. Oops, if I spelled it right. Solid. And it's going to be blue. And tab. And since I'm going to have border, I'm going to go border dash, and it's collapse. There we go. What that does is you remember it just takes that, and oh man, I wish if it's not, it highlights it. I guess I have to hit enter. I still don't like the way they set that up. It's a little clunky for me, I guess. Now I've changed this stuff right here, so I am going to have to get rid of that. There we go. Come back here. Now the nice thing about this is I have my source code. Notice I've made some changes here. It gives me a little star that says, hey, you've changed some stuff. Also, it created that new file, so if I wanted to see the code there, I could tab over here and it showed me what I've just done. So I've got a margin auto, 2px, 800 width, and a border collapse. And since the star is saying, hey, I haven't saved it, I want to save all of it, I'm going to jump back to my code here, and I'm going to go File, Save All. Now, once again, I'm not going to like the layout it's giving me right now because it shrinks it down a little bit too much. But I'm going to add a few more things in CSS while I'm at it. But just to be different, I'm going to come over here. Instead of using the designer, I'm going to come down and I'm going to hit TD, TH. So I'm going to make sure this CSS applies to both. I'm going to do my curly bracket. And then the next thing would you go away, please? I'm going to go padding, 10px. And since I want it all the way around, that's fine. Semicolon. I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to use the same border. So I'm going to just come up here, highlight that, go Control C, come down here, do Control V. I don't need to do the border collapse. And the other thing I'm going to think I want to do. No, I don't want to do it right now. I'm going to change my mind on that. Okay, now I'm going to jump back to my source code. Oops, I forgot to save it. I want to do a Control S. Notice since I was on the CSS, it only saves that. It's kind of what used to have the ability to go, oh, there it is. It didn't work last night when I was practicing. What I did is I came up here, I right clicked and go save all. So that's kind of a nice feature. I don't know why it didn't work last night. Maybe it just didn't like me. Who knows? So this is what it looks like. Now, one of the things you're going to find out in the CSS, I put border collapse. That's not a border collapse. Watch what happens. Let's go live. That's what it really looks like. Now, the thing about it is, like I said, live is just really kind of clunky to work on it. It's a little bit better than it was in previous versions, but still, I don't like it. When I come back here, I'm in my design mode. It's showing me what things are looking like. So for that table, it's saying, hey, auto for the margin, width, margin. So it's telling me. So if I wanted to, I could come in here and change the margin right, margin left. That's kind of a nice feature. It makes it a little bit easier. So I'll give them that. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is I am going to make that a single column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I notice I've clicked and dragged across this area. I'm going to come back and click on this little area right there, and I have just done a column span equal to 3. And let's see, by default, I had this one set up as header. You may not have it set up as header, but once again, I played with it, so sometimes it keeps the last setting. So I'm going to make it a header. And what I'm going to do is I love HTML and CSS, but like Dreamweaver a little. There we go. Now, one of the things I could do is, since this is a TH and all the rest are TDs, I can bump up the size. But I don't necessarily know that that's what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another selector. And since I don't want to jump back over here, I'm going to go plus. And that selector, I could use that one, which is kind of clunky, I think. I would go dot title. Hit enter. And I would tab. Oh, I got title here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go font dash size. And I'm going to go, oop, I misspelled font. F-O-N-T. That's kind of a nice feature too. Dash. I should have known when it didn't pop up. And I'm going to make it 2.5 EMs. There we go. Now, the next thing I got to do is I got to attach it to this line right here. Now this can be kind of nice because what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to class and I got title and bingo, there we go. Now one of the things you find out, I'm surprised I've lasted this long, is I cannot stand this font. Never have, never will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here with my selector and I'm going to go body and hit enter and I'm going to, oop, where'd it go? I hit the wrong key, sorry. Body. That's another thing I find annoying. It repeats the other one. Come down here and I am going to go font dash family and I am going to do Arial. Now the thing that's bizarre about this is if I was to use the properties up here, it will give me Arial as an option unless you really start hunting for it. which I think is kind of weird. Well, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two right here. So I'm clicking and dragging. I'm going to merge the two. And I'm also going to make it a header too. And I'm going to have this be menu. What else am I going to call this? About. Contact. Directions. So I'm just making a little TD website. Now, usually I like to do all design, but I just kind of wanted to show you what it looks like inside here. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I hate when it does that. So watch, I come over here, I change it back to the width that I want it to, and then it writes invalid code. That is bad, bad code. Shame on it. So what I have to do with this TD is instead of width equal to 5, that's which basically. Huh. Oh, I see. Okay. This is the one. I'm going to call this ID equals title. There we go. So now what I have to do is I have to come over here and I am going to add a selector. It's going to be a pound sign because that's the ID. And since that's the only ID I've got, it selects it for me. I'm going to come down here, put a title, and I'm going to put a width. Tab it. 150 px. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do vertical line and I'm going to do top. There we go. Now once again I am really annoyed by this. I think I'm going to just make this all a content area and merge it together. Wow, got to double click on it today. That's weird because last night I didn't have to do that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a menu. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in a link and I'm just going to call that link menu.html. Pretty nice. About.html. Contact.html. And if I didn't like doing that, what I could do is be lazy like this and go highlight that. Oop, missed it. Copy, come down here, paste, and put directions. But then I got to remember to end it right there. And I don't like how it highlights that because it makes me think I'm going to delete it when I have it highlighted, even though it's trying to show me that these are the selections select. Just something I don't really like. Now there we go. Well, we got all the links put in. Now, if I really truly want to do something, then I've got my HTML, I got my links, I got a table. I can now do the other thing that I really like to do a lot of, which is insert an image. And what I'm going to do is go to images. I want to have my Phoenix Suns since they're playing pretty good right now. So I click on OK. And then it expands it out to the full size. Well, obviously, if I'm doing an 800 pixels, that picture is way too big. What I could do is I could crop it down, and what it will do is it'll launch Dreamweaver for me, which is kind of a nice feature. but so much for that 800 pixels. So I'm definitely going to have to do something different. Now I could resize this literally through here, which is something I don't like to do. Um, the one thing that it used to allow you to do is allow you pop up and remind you they got to have an alt tag. So I'm going to call, I'm not going to use that, that's way too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here and try something else. I click on that, I can do my Phoenix or Arizona Cardinals. Oh, quite a bit different there. And notice it doesn't resize it until you click a couple times inside it and click on the table. So there, I can now put my Arizona Cardinal in there. I'm also going to hit return a few times to give myself some room. So, oh, if I wanted to, I could hit return up here so it looks a little better. And then what I want to do is I'm going to want to float this so I can write my text around it. So once again, I'm probably going to want to do a float left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a selector. I'm going to call it PF left. I mean period F left, float left. And then I'm going to go float, tab, left. Now another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some padding. Now, since I'm floating it left, I'm going to pad it right. And I'll put 10px. Or I could just do instead of right, just do padding all around because that might look better if I did. It'll drop it down a little bit there. So I think I will change that. I'm going to come back here, come back. Yeah, it's not letting me. Oh, you dog. So I'm going to have to come back here and I'm actually going to manually change it, which is kind of annoying. So instead of padding right, oops. I'm just going to do padding. So that's another one of those little annoying bugs about it. Now the picture is what I want to float left, so this is kind of nice. I could add manually put it in there. Well, let me do a Control S while I'm at it. I also saved that by clicking on it right here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. I'm going to add a class, and it's F left. And now what I could do is I hope the new coach does well. Yeah, I was a little disappointed in the last coach. I had high hopes. I thought he'd be a really good one, and it just really didn't come together. Kind of looked like he might have at the end of the season, but that's commentary that you really probably don't care about. So look, I've have text, I've got links, I've got pictures, I've floated. All right, this is just the basic intro to Dreamweaver, and there's a lot of other features you can do. It's a pretty powerful tool, but is it worthwhile for the new instead of using brackets? I don't know. Well, I've come over here to the insertion panel. I've been doing it up here, but I wanted to show you could do that. I could add list items. I could break it down. I could add keywords. These are all the different things that I could add through the insertion point instead of going up here and insert. So I should have probably done that too, but it works the same way. So what I want to do is I'm going to insert an ordered list. Okay. Oops. Let me get over here to code. Now, another thing you used to do a really good job is, oh, there we go. Ordered list. I'm going to do this right before movies I want to see. Huh. We'll see if that works. Movies OSE is Captain Marvel. 2 is Avengers. Oh my god, I don't know a third one that I want to see right now. Oh, I don't think I really want to see it, but I'm going to put it down here because I could just think of it right now as Glass. And once again, I don't like the closeness of this, and we're going to have to play around with it, but I think that's a function of the fact that the Dreamweaver design mode does not show CSS well. But just to be safe, before I get too far along, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another selector. I'm going to go LI, and I am going to add a margin of 10 px. There we go. Spaces out a little bit better. If I wanted to change, like to make this come here. Instead of a P, I can make it an H2. Made it that much bigger. That's kind of a nice feature too. I can make it an H1. Too big. Let's go H2. And this one I do want it to be an H. Come on. Why are you letting me do this? Okay, be a pain. And I am going to make it an H3. There we go. So let's take a look at it in live mode. And I don't like that, so I am going to have to put oh man, I hate that when it does that with ordered lists. Oh, let's see. Oh well. Properties. I'm gonna go 10. Oh, gotta tell it what properties I want to do. I want to do a margin left, and I'm gonna do 20px. Let's see how that goes. Okay, didn't like that. Huh. I'm going to do a panning on the LI, see if that does it. Panning left. So this is the current layout. I would add another property. I'm going to go padding. And I'm going to do 10 px. And I'm actually going to break this. And I'm going to want that to be 20 px. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that. What is going on? Okay, I'm doing something silly. I'm going to have to look this up. LI. I'm going to manually do it right here. Let's go. Come back here. Control S. Still not doing it live, right? Okay, what am I doing? I'm doing something silly. And I don't want to sit and try to figure this out. So what I'm going to do is, instead of, I'm going to add another selector, and I'm going to go dot F right or right. Enter. Add a property of float. Right. There we go. There's some. I know I'm missing something silly, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time troubleshooting it right now. Just to show it to you, I'll think about it when I close this down. But that's kind of essentially what I wanted to show you. It's a pretty nice tool. It's a little bit easier to see with the live and design mode. But, is it much better than brackets? Not really, in my opinion. Is it worth the extra money to pay for something like that? The fact that, with Creative Cloud you get all their programs, it might be. So that's just an intro to Dreamweaver. What I'm going to do next video is show you a little bit more complex, where it might make it more worthwhile doing. So here we go. I'm going to leave this.